Welcome back. You did say that we don't seem to be adding value because, you know, there's been this talk, I think it's still out there, where people are encouraged to go into farming, and some have heeded to that call, and they've gone into it. But that notwithstanding, you say we're not adding value.
We don't really walk our talk in this country, and when you talk of value chains, I'm talking of some people are over there producing these raw materials. There are some people are supposed to be there to add value, like into processing, but most of the environment is not really conducive for people to go into processing in this country, especially when you talk of infrastructures. What I mean by infrastructure, like power, there's no way you're going to have a storage facilities, or you want to go into processing without any power, without any security, without any good roads. So many conditions does not even warrant people to go into process. Not that people does not want to go into it. A lot of people have been frustrated to go out of this business. I'm one of them, because there was a time we were processing chicken. You'll be surprised that I was spending nothing less than about 500,000 a month just to generate my own power. The NEPA will bring the base of what they are not supplying, and to maintain your generator and the diesel. Look at how much they're selling diesel now. About 200 and 200 plus. So when you add all these things, it doesn't really add up. It really jump up your overhead cost, and this thing will translate to the higher price to the consumers. So that is why you see most of the foreign goods are being in the circulation more than the local content, because the one they are bringing from other country, they are being processed and being produced in a very convenient environment.
So it's cheaper than local.
Definitely. That's why you don't want to see people going to production in Nigeria, because there are so many conditions, so many, that is really impeding the processing in this country. So, and not only that, the government policy is always the problem that
we'll talk about the policy.
I give an example of Erisco. Sorry to cut you short. You heard about Erisco company that is producing tomato. Now he's being frustrated to get out of the country. He's going to lay off almost about 5,000 people, and it's into processing. That is why, because there are some people fighting this cause that most of the local content should not really pick up, in the sense that they are making money, they are taking all our dollars, all our foreign exchange out of the country in order to kill the local contents.
Wow. Mark.
Well, you would assume that, you know, the producers, the raw materials manufacturers, as the people who are actually on the farms, are separate from those who are processing it. So one would think that if people are processing it outside the country, chances are high that maybe they are not Nigerian. So do you see a role for security here? Because what they say is that, you know, if 500 trucks are leaving the country, it would seem that those people are definitely offering higher prices than those in Nigeria, and of course goods will always go to where the prices are higher. Is it possible for the federal government to, you know, raise an alarm? What role, let me just put it this way, what role do you see for the federal government in this sort of situation if they're afraid that, you know, there will not be enough for Nigerian consumers because there is a higher demand for it on the outside of the country?
Well, if it is true that about 500 trailers are leaving the country, according to the federal government, that what the government should do now is to totally stop the exportation of some of these goods in order for the nation to be able to feed itself.
A blanket ban? Or what?
No, not totally. So put a control over it. Maybe they can reduce it, maybe make it 50-50 or 40-60, because the custom, there's no way any goods is going to get out of this country without the custom knowing about it. So all what they have to do is to get in touch with all the security agency that are listening. There's going to be meaningful crisis if we allow all this.
Are they smuggling it? What if they're legitimately exporting it?
It's not being. No, they're not being smuggled. If
it's legitimate.
It's legitimate because the country, the government is encouraging exportation. But now they see that a lot of people are exporting, and they are saying that no, enough is enough. That we should be able to reduce how many number of these grains or trailers that is going on. It's just the same way that some of these rice are being finding their ways into the country. The same way some of our rice are still getting their ways to the neighboring countries, which they are going to repackage. Our rice is one of the best in the whole world, but if you look at it, some of it are still being exported out of the country.
All right, Mowe.
As a farmer, Yes, as a farmer, would you say that, you know, I mean, if you're a farmer caught up in that sort of situation where you have produced your grains and you're looking for the best buyers, you're looking for the best prices, would you accept a situation where the federal government now says, no, you cannot export your product anymore?
Well, in a certain situation, yes, you can do it in order to save the nation, because it's like a crisis at our hand. It's just like, if you look at it's like we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. If care is not being taken, because people will go hungry. Just like what happened recently that we've been talking about for a small boy, a small man that was lynched. To me, it's out of poverty, it's out of hunger. There are a lot of people, there's a lot of hunger in the land. Let us face the reality. But by what you are saying, I want a top money for my money. So what I believe the government should be doing is to be buying some of these products from the farmers, and at the same time they should be able to know how they're going to channel it to the people to process it, or to leave certain numbers of these products to be exported out, because we have some of our allies in the other country that depends on us. As I said, Nigeria is a very great nation. It's a very large nation that a lot of neighboring countries, either in the West Africa or East Africa or South Africa, they depend on Nigeria. So we cannot totally just block most of our goods going out, just like cocoa. We still export some of our cocoa, and at the same time we still use some in our own country here.
What kind of policies are you talking about that they should do?
Policy of being friendly to the farmer, and at the same time to be friendly to our clients, to our customers, to our neighbors. Because you look at countries like Benin Republic or Togo, they are not producing anything. They depend on us. They totally depend on Nigeria, on whatever happen here. If we cough here, people over there will get sick. So we have to be very careful in order not to let whatever happen in the country affect others. So there are so many policies that could be annexed in order to be able to be favorable to both the farmers and the neighboring countries.
In other words, if there isn't any commensurate investment in processing alongside government policies to support indigenous processing facilities, even if you go into all the farming all you want, there will still be some sort of lopsidedness. That's what you're saying?
Definitely. I will advise the federal government to really look into the issue of value chain, of processing some of our goods, because if we process here and command high prices, we don't have to be exporting some of this thing out. And you have to remember that whatever is just our crude oil too, we just take it out at a cheaper rate and we buy it at a very higher rate. That is why most of our thing in Nigeria is always seasonal, because we don't prepare for the rainy season. And what I said about this grain, that had it been that we have enough storage facilities, which is a silo, then once we are able to store some of these grains, we don't have to be finding ourselves into this issue of food crisis. But we have so many silos, but if you go there, they are being underutilized, there's no materials there, because a lot of farmers are not really producing, because we don't have the highest of the hybrid of where we're supposed to get right now. The storage facility is there, it's not there, and the banks are not even ready to assist any farmer. They don't even understand what agricultural means. So these are kind of the problem that we are facing.
So those are the issues they need to focus on, as you say, if we need to move forward. Prince Wale Oyakoya is a farmer. We appreciate your coming on this morning.
You're welcome.
Well, we will be back in a moment. Do join us again.